Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Alex Cuesta Daily Show. How are we all doing out there on this Tuesday, March 8th of 2022? Before we get into any of the fun and sun, there's no sun. It was a crappy day today in New York. But before we get into anything, please give a like, share, follow, subscribe, and rate us 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes, and spread this show word of mouth. Read articles, get good insight, enjoy what's going on here. And as always, social media, anywhere you can find social media, Alex Cuesta Show, go search it, The Alex Cuesta Show. You'll find it anywhere there. So I'm going to run through some of the early stuff because the article that I have to do and the topic I want to talk about, not only is it pretty heavy, I think it's an important one that we all need to start paying attention to more and more. It's not just fringe people. I need to focus on this shit. But it's something that's important. Speaking of important, though, we're going to go right to the Biden COVID tracker. And I have to say, it is great news. Let's go. Yesterday, the numbers are sitting at cases 79,265,726, deaths 958,437. As of today, number of cases, 79,271,466. That is an increase of only 5,740. You heard that correctly. We've been going through increases of 50,000, 100,000, 300,000 at some point cases a day. 5,740. In terms of deaths, we're at 959,578. That is 1,141 deaths. That's what we've been seeing on average. But again, deaths always trail cases. So what are we looking at here in terms of COVID? I've been saying this is at a pandemic level already. We're on endemic. They won't release their emergency power just in case the next variant is worse. If this 5,000 number holds up, even if it fluctuates a little, gets up to 8,000, 10,000 and drops back down, we are out. We are out. We need to start to demand that, just like the states are doing, the federal government gives up their power, because things are going great right now. Joe Biden is trying to start World War III, so nobody is fucking with COVID, and it's just getting better and better and better and better. The less we've seen of Anthony Fauci, the better it's gone. So things are going well on the COVID front. Again, I will continue to do this daily, though, because Joe Biden needs to be held to task. As I always say, he needs to be held to task. He came in with the plan. He was going to eradicate it. Now it's a new normal. And what we're seeing right here is it might just dwindle. Things certainly have done that before. H1N1, Zika, what was the one with the mosquitoes? They do dwindle. These types of things happen. This is a major one. The pandemic fucked everything up. It gave a lot of bad actors a lot of big power, and they're trying to hold on to it. And now World War III looks like it's about to break out, as the West is now instigating Russia with the shit that they're doing, and instigating them to work with some of our greatest enemies, such as China and Iran and Turkey. And Turkey's not an enemy. They're kind of like a frenemy. They're our friends when they need us. They're our enemies when they don't. There's some news coming out of there, but I'm not going to talk about that today. I don't want to focus on the war today. We're done with the COVID stuff. COVID's on the downswing. We need to end all mandates, end all that type of stuff completely and totally, get rid of the emergency acts, and let's just go back and live our fucking lives. But here we go. First thing I want to touch on, which I might touch on more tomorrow. There's an article in the Post Millennial. Today's going to be a very heavy Post Millennial day. I'm sorry for anyone that doesn't like it, but if you need to know, NewsGuard gives them an 82 out of 100. So suck at anybody that doesn't like the Post Millennial. There's an article, Kamala, Mayor Pete push electric cars on Americans as gas prices soar. I might talk about this one tomorrow. That was written yesterday. I might find something more current because people are being dicks about this constantly. On social media, I have seen a lot of people complaining about gas prices. They suck. I paid $4.39 the other day to fill up. I looked today. There's places with $4.70 to fill up in New York where I am, to per gallon. And I see people on social media, suck it up. Don't complain. You could have it worse. You could be in Ukraine, get a better job, maybe take public transportation, ride a bike, buy an electric car, do all this nonsense. that these people are saying. And mostly it's the people that already have really good jobs, that are upper middle class, that aren't hurting, that can afford to take these hits for now. Wait to what their tune changes when these idiots get hit with what they're going to get hit if this continues. Because unfortunately, this is just pushing the renewable bullshit. And again, if renewables are really that good and they're ready to go, then let's roll them out. But they're not. They're not. We haven't built enough. And the fun fact about renewables, you make them, they are made in factories, not by renewables making renewables. They are built by oil and gas and coal. So as people are sitting there going, oh, use a renewable, get an electric car and telling people to ride their bike. Are you fucking stupid? Get exercise, use public transportation. Yeah, if I live in suburbia, I have so many chances of getting public transportation. Yeah, I can't afford gas, but you want me to get an Uber or some shit like that? Like, no, it is just a bunch of college educated, upper middle class and upper class people that are saying they're looking down like, oh, peasants, stop complaining. Meh, everything's fine. I love the one too. It's a small price for democracy. Yes. Fucking over your own citizens every chance you can get, which is what Joe Biden has been doing, is just a small price for democracy. Because his great plan now is to work with Venezuela. Venezuela, who is a country that has tortured its own people, nationalized its oil and gas to the point where everyone there is now poor, except for there's a poor class and a rich class in Venezuela now. It wasn't that way a little while ago, as they were a capitalist nation. As they went full on socialist, quote unquote, social democrat down there, they become extremely poor. They are poverty stricken and they nationalized everything there. And now we want to work with them. Now we want to enrich that government that doesn't give a fuck about its people. This is your leader, people on Facebook going, suck it up, because they're the Biden voters. This is your guy. You get what you voted for, because it's going to hit you too. All this shit's going to hit you too. But I don't want to harp on that too much. Maybe I'll bring that back up tomorrow. But go read that article, because as always, Pete Buttigieg is someone that the left, I think, thinks has a chance if Joe Biden doesn't run. He said he's going to run. Who knows if he's going to run? Kamala, they know has no chance. They don't like Kamala. Nobody fucking likes Kamala. But they're thinking that Mayor Pete has a chance. Please run Mayor Pete. Please run Pete Buttigieg. Please. That's the guy you want to go with. Please. I want that to happen, because then there's a lot of people. The Republicans don't have to worry about just having Donald Trump to win. They have a latitude of people that could beat Pete Buttigieg. So please run Pete Buttigieg. Anyway, that article is on the Post Millennial. It's by Libby Emmons over there. Go read that article. What I want to talk about today is an absolutely disgusting topic. It's disgusting and it's disturbing. And it's something that if you're a parent, you really need to open your eyes and pay attention to and focus. If you're a non-parent, you need to also open your eyes and fight this, because it's an unfortunate thing that, I hate using this word, but I guess it's the only way to use it. No, I'm not going to say normalize. I hate that word. That they were trying to mainstream pedophilia. And, people might be looking and going, what do you mean, Alex? Well, every time anybody talks about allowing children to go and talk about sexually explicit stuff that isn't age appropriate, that is preparing them to accept pedophilia. Let's go into articles here. Let's talk here. This sparked on by me seeing an articles about Florida passing the quote unquote "Don't Say Gay" bill, which is not the name of the bill. That's what the left has promoted it as. The bill is named Parental Rights in Education. It is not the "Don't Say Gay" bill. And in no place in there are they denying LGBTQ kids anything at all. What it is denying is lessons being taught about sexual orientation or gender identity. It is barring that in K through 3, which I don't think is inappropriate at all. You're talking about 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. They should not be talking about sexual orientation and gender identity. It outlaws that there. It also gives parents more rights in what goes on. If a kid goes over to a counselor and they're expressing suicidal thoughts, or their education needs to be changed in any way, then the parent needs to be informed by law with this bill. This doesn't mean that if the kid goes up to a counselor and says, I think I'm gay, or I think I'm bi, that the counselor needs to go and out the kid to the parents. That's not what this is advocating for at all. But as always, the left likes to turn this into hyperbole. The only thing the left has is hyperbole and hypocrisy. Don't ever forget that. But this bill, all it's for is to make sure that kids aren't being groomed at a young age and overly sexualized, because you overly sexualize kids at a young age so that kids are used to sex at that point, and so that they can say that kids have a sexual preference, that kids are sexually active, and then it will allow these pedophiles to engage in that with them sexually. That is the purpose of this. That is the purpose of this. Is not to teach them sex ed, because there is no purpose in teaching a kid under the puberty age anything about sex ed, unless you want to have sex with them. And it is disgusting to say, but that is exactly what this is. And there's two articles here. There's one by Archamax, which I've never heard of. Again, they got a NewsGuard 90 out of 100, so they're apparently a real thing. But it's by the authors are Anya Ceballos and Kirby Wilson from the Miami Herald. I guess this was from the Miami Herald here, not this. They were aggregate out here, but student voices are loud, but Florida Republicans are clear. Don't say gay bill passes. I'll say this. The bill is pretty fair to both sides. They attempt to be journalists, which I do appreciate that they are legitimately trying to be a journalist in this sense. There's definitely some left leanings there. But they certainly are fair. They feature Democrats, they feature Republicans that are quoted in this. They feature the co-sponsor, they feature Governor DeSantis, they feature some advocacy groups, and it was a fair article. I will say that. So Miami Herald, applause to you. It was a fair article, even though it does have a little bit of a left lean to it. Maybe that's me reading into it as a person on the right that I see all that nonsense, but it was a fair article in terms of covering this. Now, there's another article in the Post Millennial again. This one written by Mia Cathell, breaking Florida passes anti-groomer law. And interesting enough, she's the one that wrote the actual main article today. Again, anti-groomer law banning gender identity indoctrination in schools. It talks more about it. It goes into a little more of the detail of what can and cannot be done. It also talks about Governor DeSantis kind of dressing down a reporter when they talk about the don't say gay stuff. So read that article as well. Both articles put together kind of gives you a better understanding of the bill. But here's the beauty of it. The bill is House Bill 1557. You can look it up. It is 7 pages long. That is a beautiful bill. It's not a 2,000-page bill. It is a 7-page bill. It has all the legal jargon. It's a pain in the ass to read because bills are all legalese, but it's a readable bill. I haven't read it yet. I haven't. I plan on reading it because I would like to see for myself. I hate all the little snippets that they give you because the wording's important, but maybe I'll come back tomorrow after I read it and kind of talk a little more about it before I go into whatever main article I'm doing. But it's important that it's a 7-page bill. It's a simple bill that doesn't allow really young kids in primary school to be taught about sex. Now it's K through 3. They're allowing 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to start learning about sex at that point. It has to be age appropriate as deemed by the state, by state standards and according to state standards. So Florida will be the ones to say what's age appropriate the state of Florida. So that is Governor DeSantis. He's him and his lawmakers that hold the majority, the Republican majority there, they will get to say. But overall, they're opening the door and saying that past 3rd grade, you could start teaching sex ed. You could start teaching LGBTQ, gender equality stuff. It's not like they're barring it completely. They're not barring teachers from talking about it at all. It just has to be age appropriate. I don't see anything wrong with that. It's a logical thing. But again, there's a lot of people that don't speak in logic. But here's what we're going to talk about. This article is fairly long. It's a long article by Mia Cathell, again, the Post Millennial. LGBTQ activists host non-binary sex ed summer camp for children. Elementary age children at the non-binary sex education camp will witness a condom demonstration as part of the week-long event's activities. So we put in there for children. Well, we didn't. Mia Cathell puts in the title for children. So automatically, if you're a savvy reader of news, you might be thinking this is sensationalized. They put in their children. Children can mean anything under the age of 18, essentially. So what are we talking about here? If we're talking about kids at the high school level and they're doing condom demonstrations and things like that, you might be uncomfortable about that, but no one should have their head in the sand and not know that high school kids are engaging in sexual activities. That is true. Not what we're talking about here at all. When children is put in this title, they mean children. Let's read the article. A summer camp in Indianapolis, Indiana, devoted to sex education for 3rd grade through 5th grade children is organized by an inclusive sexuality educator who advocates for minors to explore condom usage, kinks, and pornography. Now, if you want to stop listening at this point, you're more than welcome to. But if you want to go down this freaking rabbit hole with me of disgustingness and disgusting humans, come on board, because you heard it right. 3rd grade through 5th grade. That is 11, 10, 9, 8-year-olds that they are targeting this at. That is the age group that is going to this camp. And it is a camp that's currently going to be held. So let's read more here. The sex education themed event set to take place from June 6th through 10th at Half Liter Barbecue and Beer Halls, billed as an exclusive summer camp for students in 3rd grade through 5th grade, according to the password-protected Eventbrite page. So it's happening this June, and this is in Indianapolis, Indiana, if you are interested in finding out more about this and burning it to the fucking ground before it ever takes place. Let's keep going. According to the event flyer, the summer camp is further described as affirming non-binary, body-positive, social-emotional learning through play. Now, it's interesting. If anyone has ever read any of the dystopian novels, I think it was A Brave New World. I can't remember which one it was. It wasn't 1984. It probably was A Brave New World. One of the things that they did, maybe it was 1984. It was one of them. I can't remember which one. But they're going through a lot of the scenes where the kids are there. They're in like a crop farm and they are sexually learning. And they're young kids exploring sexually on each other. They're encouraged to, they are told to, and it's not normal not to in this dystopian area. And this dystopian novel is all leftist shit that is going on, that they are trying to do. It's kind of the utopia style, Marxist style utopia that is described. I can't remember which one it is, either A Brave New World or it's one of those two. But just listen to the words here. Affirming. I've talked about the gender affirming stuff a long time ago. Affirming. That is mental child abuse, especially on these ages. There is nothing to affirm at these ages when it comes to sexuality and gender. They cannot choose. They do not know. They are not in puberty. Let's keep going. Non-binary. So already you're confusing them. Body positive. Whenever you hear body positive, that is all about fat studies. It has nothing to do with saying you're beautiful the way you are and it's not accept yourself. It is against exercise. It is against a healthy image. Body positivity has nothing to do with loving yourself. Body positivity has to do with going against healthy standards. If you listen to things about body positivity and fat studies, they are completely and totally against what doctors say is a healthy body with exercise, eating right in a certain size. It's absolute nonsense. So don't fall into some of these words. And social emotional learning through play. Social emotional learning is quite literally what we're talking about with the grooming aspect. There's nothing correct about it. Let's and honestly, if you want to break down more and more of this type of stuff, the person to go to is James Lindsay, New Discourses podcast. He breaks down all this type of stuff about it. No one knows more about the woke than he does. And I think he hates the fact that about himself, that he knows a ton about the woke, but still, no one knows more about the woke than he does. Let's keep going. We got a long article here. The camp's Our Whole Lives curriculum offers a positive, affirming take on puberty, human sexuality, and social emotional skills without coercive abstinence-based strategies. Abstinence-based strategies. That's a typo there. The program's all events page details. So again, we're talking 3rd through 5th graders, and I'm going ahead of myself because the person running this is a woman, but Um, they are advocating saying that abstinence based is wrong for the ages 3rd through 5th, that they are going against abstinence, not having sexual intercourse, 3rd through 5th graders. And they're affirming take on puberty. They're not in puberty. Human sexuality, they don't know really what that is in 3rd through 5th grade. You're putting this onto them by bringing them here, by teaching them this type of stuff. You are bringing this stuff into their faces. They don't know what this stuff is yet. They don't understand the purpose of it yet. Let's keep going. Kids at the summer camp will not be divided by gender when learning about puberty and sex, according to the FAQ section, because gender is a spectrum and not a binary. In addition, kids will see a condom demonstration. At this age, kids are primed for level-headed learning. They are information gatherers. There is no shame or ickiness associated with using Band-Aids, and that same philosophy is applied to condoms and other barriers in this body-positive curriculum. You'll see that they go back to Band-Aids all the time as an example. And I get it with Band-Aids because you're applying it, and that's like the kind of thing that they're trying to use. And Band-Aids, I don't know, because they cover up wounds and they heal blood. Like, I guess, this is a wound that they're trying to say, like that these kids are trying to close up a wound in their lives by trying to be trans or non-binary or whatever bullshit they're pushing. But we'll break down everything. Gender is a spectrum and not a binary. That's not true. That's a fake push narrative by the current group of leftists that want to fuck with everybody. Gender is pretty binary, because here's the reason why it's binary, and it's simple. Whenever somebody chooses to be a different sex, if they want to be trans, if you call them the other sex, they flip the fuck out. They're speaking in a binary because it is. That's all you need to know. If a quote unquote trans woman who is a man pretending to be a woman walks around and you call them a man, they flip out because they're a woman. Why? Because they believe in a binary, and they'll be the first ones to tell you they don't, but they will yell at you for it. So that is why gender is binary, and that is why they are fucking lying about it. And it's total and complete and total bullshit. And then they talk about at this age, kids are primed for level-headed learning. They're information gatherers, AKA we can groom them. They are easy to groom at this age. We can implant this type of sexual deviance and bullshit into them. So then they will turn out to be people that rebel, sexually active. This is Sodom and Gomorrah type shit if you're religious. This is Sodom and Gomorrah type stuff. And it's disgusting. I don't want to sit on any of this stuff too long. It's a long article, but man, and that you'll see they constantly go back to Band-Aids, which has nothing to do with it. Comparing a Band-Aid to condoms. Are you fucking serious? One is a necessity for when you get hurt, is a real use for when you get hurt. The other doesn't need to be known about until puberty age. Or maybe even a little before, because kids are getting more sexualized in middle school. But still, even then, it's tough to even have that. But you shouldn't be having these conversations at that age. Let's keep going. Meanwhile, the current meta description for the Eventbrite's link social media card reads: consent, communication, personal empowerment, body boundary setting, emotional IQ. All the things kids need to learn at school and that school doesn't teach. So yes, and I will remind everybody, this is a camp. So if you're a parent, you can voluntarily send your kid here. This is a camp. So again, it's not a school, so I'm not ragging on the school. I believe that this does have something to do in like conjunction with the other piece with Florida and what's going on, because as Florida is trying to protect kids, this whole thing is trying to open up parents to abuse their kids and allow their kids to be abused. I will say this flat out. If you're a parent that sends your 3rd to 5th grade kid to this camp, you should be arrested for child abuse, as should this person. This is all abuse. None of this is okay. But I do have to say, this isn't schooling. This is a camp. Let's keep going. Regular registration for the week-long 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. sex ed summer camp costs parents an eye-popping $250 according to the colorful event graphic. Yes, $250 to groom your kids. That is what they want. All families participating in the event must attend an orientation on May 28th where parents will sign behavior agreements, enrollment paperwork, and waivers. The team of instructors has enlisted an Indy Pride board member, a Purdue University graduate with a bachelor's degree in gender and sexuality studies, and a trans queer staffer. Event organizers are still hiring high school assistants. They are hiring high school assistants. They're hiring other advocates. They're hiring other what do you call activists. This is an activist training ground more than anything. They're trying to sexualize your kids to make it pedophilia okay. And then they're training activists to believe in this bullshit. It is absolutely wild. And then you look at it, what do you have? You'll see all the people that are involved. Let's keep going with the article. The access to the private event portal, parents seeking to enroll his or her elementary age child must request the password from the Eventbrite organizer. Our Whole Lives curriculum facilitator and sexuality educator, Ashley Robertson. Here's the fucked up person. Ashley Robertson belongs in jail. Okay, you're going to hear why. Our Whole Lives is a series of comprehensive sexuality curricula for youth and young adults published by the Unitarian Universalist Association. The sexuality education lessons are broken down by age groups, including for children in kindergarten through first grade and fourth grade through fifth grade. Excuse me? Kindergarten through first grade, why there's sexuality education. This is how fucked up these people are. They believe that you should be training your kids about sexual education in kindergarten and first grade, 5 years old and 6 years old. Think of that. Let's keep going. Stop Comprehensive Sexuality Education, CSE, published an analysis of the program designed for the youngest age demographic. Quote, Our Whole Lives teaches children about masturbation by first identifying sensitive body parts like the clitoris and then telling children that genitals can be rubbed for pleasure as an acceptable activity as long as it's done in private. Stop CSE warns. Now, mind you, the youngest age demographic, kindergarten through first grade, that is what they are teaching. They would like to teach them in this curriculum. Keep going. The program also normalizes diverse sexual orientations and gender identities, going so far as to have children redefine family. Stop CSE claims. So again, they normalize diverse sexual orientations and gender identities, K through first grade. That's what they're saying to these kids. Let's keep going here. Chalkboard Review co-founder Tony Cadet had first reported on the summer camp Monday and quickly dug into Robertson's eyebrow-raising background. Cadet is a former STEM teacher at Indianapolis Public Schools who was placed on administrative leave and later fired in December after he called for transparency over the teaching of critical race theory in district classrooms. So again, that's a wrongful termination, and he was doing the right thing because critical race theory falls right under the same umbrella of critical theories that queer theory, gender studies, fat studies all falls under. It is a dialectic. It is all problematizing. It is all to create activists. It is Herbert Marcuse's world. Let's keep going here. In an extensive Twitter thread, Canet found Robertson's public Facebook group, Let's Talk About Sex Ed with Miss Ashley, comprised of over 900 members. The group's About section says Robertson operates under the assumption that stigma doesn't belong in sex ed. She adopted the Our Whole Lives OWL sex education curriculum to facilitate classes and workshops in the Indianapolis area in a whole new way, appealing to all learning styles. Quote, my interactive, engaging, fun workshops make this topic palatable and accessible, Robertson wrote. She noted that during a recent course of hers, one particular student commented, according to Robertson, I've been in school for years and I think I've learned more useful stuff from this class in just a couple of weeks. Just to preface, it doesn't say how old this kid is, so I'm not going to sit there and talk about that. It does not say how old this kid is. So who knows what age they are. They put this in there to get a little wow factor for someone that's already pissed off. And you should be pissed off by already reading this article. But just to preface, this could be a 17-year-old. This could be a 16-year-old. Again, you don't want your 17 to 16-year-old to be indoctrinated, but if they were already sexually exploring, they already think they're gay, if they already believe that they're, bi, whatever they believe they are, then this may be a more appropriate thing. But I digress. I don't like giving Robertson the benefit of the doubt, but I have to give some here with this quote. Let's keep going. Purple for Parents Indiana, whose mission is shining a spotlight on sexualization of children in the public education system, had exposed Robertson's perverse grooming of the kids and the child grooming camp for minors. The parent group said the Eventbrite link was locked down after they'd posted a parental alert informing members that the grooming techniques, such as Robertson's, are the same one used by sex traffickers and pedophiles alike. Yes, they are. Robertson responded to the exposure by calling Purple Parents a hate group here in Indiana who targets books, social emotional learning, LGBTQ plus folks with an X, etc. So again, when they are put up against a corner, people like Robertson, people like Robin DiAngelo is a race peddler, and Ibram X. Kendi, and all these critical theory scholars, they don't have an answer because they're getting called out for what they are. So what do? They attack. They call you names. They make false claims about you. That is what they do. They target books, social emotional learning, LGBTQ plus folks. That's what they believe. That's not what they believe. They're saying these things because they're all buzzwords. They're all buzzwords that their fellow leftists will go, yeah, and jump on board with them. Let's keep going. A parent with sometimes antisocial, always anti-fascist profile picture frame commented on Robertson's post. Well, my kiddo was excited to attend. I'm sorry those bigots are coming after you. Robertson then reacted with a heart emoji, and that parent, just for that profile picture frame, should be arrested, but they should also be arrested for child abuse. So yeah, bad parenting. It does exist. Kinnett has discovered that other notable members of Robertson's group include a Hamilton Southeastern Schools elementary school teacher, a Metropolitan School District of Martinsville worker, a PBS senior systems engineer, an Indiana Arts Commission Group program manager, a Pearson Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Justice DEIJ content reviewer, an Eastern Michigan University assistant professor of teacher education, and a Fishers High School counselor. So let's go through some of the people in there. Everybody. They didn't give names. Like, you can click on Tony Kinnett's link here, and I think it has all of them. Let's click on some of this stuff. Let's go to Twitter here and see what we have. So let's see here. We have Stephanie Black, who is a elementary school at Hamilton teacher. So an elementary school teacher is in this group, a part of the group there. Let's see, because I want to be correct here on what she said. Yeah, in the group. So this is just in the group. This isn't associated with the camp, but these are people in this. Let's talk about sex with Miss Ashley. So they have to know what she is professing and agree with it. So again, a elementary school teacher is in this group. I said her name. I might edit that out. I want to blank that out, but you know what? No. I'm not going to blank any of it out. An elementary school named Stephanie Black is in this. Alicia Hendricks, who MSD of Martinsville, that is Metropolitan School District of Martinsville. She's in this. Who else is in here? Senior engineer PBS, Andy Butler, so public broadcasting system. Educational accessibility program manager, Indiana Arts Commission, Stephanie Hayes. Those are the ones just from Mr. Tony Kinnett's pictures that he posted up there. It's absolutely disgusting. These are the people framing your kids' minds, everybody. These are them. Let's keep going. One of Robertson's educational posts in November claimed that kids are no different than adults when it comes to experimenting with condoms. And she asks, are you comfortable with condoms? What is the only way to get comfortable with the unknown? Exposure, practice, opportunities, pushing out of your comfort zone. Kids are no different. Have your kids had the opportunity to explore condoms? It takes many repetitions before kids master knowledge. This means they should have many exposures to condoms, why we need to use condoms, and how to use them. Make it fun. Take the pressure off, Robertson wrote on November 8th, which I fucking hate because that's my birthday. But just think about that. If you are a normal human being and you read that, that should make your blood curl that you have this groomer, this pedophile. She's a pedophile. Front and center, a pedophile, or at worst, a pedophile. Well, I think she is, but at best, someone that is an accessory to pedophilia. That's what this is. Having your kids use condoms often, practice with them often. Are you out of your mind? It's like sitting there and having kids before they know what a knife is, just start grabbing a knife for no reason. They don't need to use it. They have no need to use it because you cut up everything for them. They are, an infant that just learned how to grab things, but you hand them a sharp knife just because they need many exposure, because knives are difficult to use and you need to understand how to use them. And they're very important. So, you just hand the kid the fucking knife and say, here, start learning how to cut. An infant that just learned how to sit up, because they're going to need it eventually. It's very important. That's an analogy here that I'm thinking of. Why expose your kid to condoms when it's unnecessary at that point, when they're not sexually active? It's mind-boggling. Robertson uploaded a censored photo of a child with braids in a Minecraft hoodie, stretching a condom out with her hand squeezed into it like a glove. So again, she is promoting grooming. We're going to keep going here. She posted the same photo on Instagram with a different caption describing what happened when she cleaned out her top dresser drawer as a sex positive parent. Robertson explained to her child that condoms have lubricant on them because lube makes them slimy and it makes it easier to get inside the vagina. Condoms should be stored where kids and youth have access to them. We don't hide Band-Aids, so don't hide condoms either, Robertson wrote on Instagram. She also made a phallic reference directed at children who masturbate. Tell your kids to use condoms on all insertables. Robertson captioned an Instagram photo of herself posing with a giant carrot in October. There are so many pervertible items, and most of them aren't things you can sanitize. She's fucking disgusting. She is a sick individual, has a mental problem. She has a mental problem. Number one, I actually don't leave my Band-Aids out in the open. I don't know many people that leave a ton of Band-Aids just out in the open. They're usually in the medicine cabinet. You don't want your kids just grabbing Band-Aids. It's weird. Number one. Number two, she likes to compare Band-Aids to condoms like they're the same thing. It is such a weird analogy to use. And I guess if you're a stupid parent or just a stupid person, you're easy to dress down mentally anyway if you believe in this shit. So you're okay with this. Oh, that's great. That's true. We don't leave Band-Aids hidden. So why would we leave condoms? Because, they're basically the same thing. Apparently, they're the same fucking thing. So I don't know how old her kid is. I'm going to preface that again. I don't know how old her kid is where she's telling her kid about condoms. She has children, which is fucking crazy, that she has condoms. But I'm assuming that the kid's younger because she said condoms should be stored where kids and youth have access to them. So I'm assuming her kid isn't, super old. And again, she is abusing her own child with all this stuff. Again, it's not wrong to teach your puberty age or show your puberty age kid about a condom. Tell them about a condom. Offer to buy them if they are sexually active. That is normal parenting shit. But to encourage them to play with condoms, encourage them to put it on items if they're insertable, to insert them and masturbate with them. How fucked up can you be? Like, honestly. And she's teaching people things. This psycho is teaching people things. Let's keep going. In an anniversary post marking 2 years since Robertson demonstrated condom use with a Girl Scouts troop, she instructed parents how to approach the matter. Do you have a kid? Have you had them open a condom yet? It doesn't have to be gross or weird. Imagine you're explaining how a Band-Aid works. With that frame of mind, just do it, Robertson wrote in a simple script she typed. Robertson told parents to teach children how to place a condom on the penis or toy. Again, she goes back to that Band-Aid reference. It's so fucking stupid and it makes no sense whatsoever. Number one, because again, they're not the same thing. Band-Aids are necessary items used to stop bleeding, to stop you from getting hurt. Condoms are voluntary, number one. And number two, the act of having sex is voluntary. You're not voluntarily fucking cutting your arm unless you have a problem. People do that. And most of the time, they're not going to want Band-Aids anyway if they do that. But you're not scraping your knee intentionally. You're not scraping your arm intentionally. You're not cutting your finger intentionally. That's why you use Band-Aids, because you have accidents. You don't put a condom on your dick for the purpose of an accident happening. I guess she might look at it as she's trying to prevent an accident. That's why she encourages condoms and why she likens them to Band-Aids. But it's such a bizarre comparison that she continues to make. And I guess it works on stupid people. But the fact that she gave a demonstration to a Girl Scouts troop, all of those parents involved, again, should be arrested. I am not even... my brother David likes to say the wood chipper, and I certainly agree with that. Pedophiles deserve the wood chipper. So I'm being nice by saying that they should all be arrested at minimum for child abuse, at minimum. If you were a Girl Scout troop parent that allowed this, one of the scout leader that allowed this to happen, that had this happen, you should all go to jail. It's unnecessary. It's disgusting and it's wrong. Let's keep going with this sick bastard. It should fit tightly, Robertson wrote in an Instagram post on October 21st, 2021. Robertson posted an Instagram video depicting a child holding two cucumbers with an adult rolling a condom onto one of them. A box of Crayola crayons sits in the background. The next slide shows a pile of condoms wearing cucumbers. Does your sixth grader know how to use a condom? Robertson wrote on February 16th. A sixth grader, a 11 to 12-year-old. Do they know how to use a condom? Now, I get it. People are listening to this or maybe listening to this going, Alex, kids are actually sexually active at 12 now. And I know they are. And here's the deal. If you suspect your kid is, and you know your kid, as a parent, you can make the decision whether to approach this conversation or not. It is not something that should be advocated in schools, though. It is not something that should be encouraged. Having sex shouldn't be encouraged at a young age. It's encouraged enough in peer groups. Peer groups are doing it on their own. Parents don't have to join the fray. Educators don't have to join the fray. Adults don't have to join the fray. Why are adults joining the fray? Because they want to have sex with the kids, because they're a bunch of pedophiles. The people that are encouraging this, the people that are okay with this, are child abusers and pedophiles. Full stop. Let's keep going. Bellflower Clinic donated rib-studded, flavored, and glow-in-the-dark condoms for Robertson's sex education lesson with sixth grade students. Bellflower Clinic should be, taken out, not, out of service, I should say. They should be taken out of service. That clinic should go away. Robertson recounted another Instagram post when she used a question box as an anonymous way for middle schoolers in her Our Whole Lives class to ask questions. Among what sixth graders to eighth graders asked Robertson, the students wondered, why are my balls so itchy? What is squirting? How does an erection work? Is there a bone that grows inside the penis? Why do people randomly have wet dreams? And what is the best birth control? Now, these are all normal questions. The birth control one's a little weird at that age, but a lot of girls are getting on birth control because they get periods at a young age, and periods do cause problems with young girls, especially if they're bad periods. And birth control has been used to control them. So that is a more normal question. But all of these are normal questions for kids about to hit puberty or in puberty. They are. And they should be answered in a proper sex setting. They should. And, I don't have a problem with this being asked. I don't have a problem with teachers, in a sexual education class kind of teaching about this. And that's kind of a cool way to get kids to not be scared to raise their hands. But Ashley Robertson should be nowhere near these fucking kids. She should not be the one doing it. An actual pedophile and groomer should not be the one doing it. Let's keep going. I told you this one was long. Sorry, guys. In the Facebook group's discussion section, Robertson announced in mid-January she tested positive for a sexually transmitted infection. Choosing to take control of this narrative, Robertson applauded herself for testing regularly and discovering the infection fast. I'm buying donuts. I'm celebrating. I've got a curable sexually transmitted infection. I'm going to toast myself and science. I won't succumb to the stigma associated. I won't slut shame myself. Robertson continued, mentioning that her partners and Meta consented to her disclosure. So here's the deal. She is teaching kids to become sexually active and have multiple partners and shit like that, and to become curious and experiment on each other because she is that way. She can't find a actual person to settle down with and enjoy having sex with, to actually find an engaging relationship with. So she is trying to fuck it up for everybody else because she has mental problems. She is trying to make a group of people that have mental problems. It is terrible. It is terrible. If you have a sexually transmitted infection and you get over it and you're happy you got over it, good for you. But it's disgusting to applaud yourself. Like, that takes a certain type of vanity, a certain type of, attention seeking to do this type of shit. I'm taking control of this narrative. I'm not going to slut shame. No, you're just fucking stupid and you're weird. Like, she is a weird person. Let's keep going. Then she linked statistics showing the rates of reported gonorrhea cases in the United States in 2019 by age and gender, hinting that's what she contracted. Robertson concluded the January 17th post. Guess what? Now I get to empathize from experience when/if this enters my kid's narrative. That ain't half bad. She also runs a Facebook page by the same name as the Facebook group. So again, because she had gonorrhea, she's then going to make it okay for kids to get gonorrhea. And It's a difficult one because should you be ashamed if you attract a disease like that off of having sex? It's you shouldn't be happy about it. No one should be happy about it, but this is the same person that probably agrees with shout your abortion. So it's not someone that clearly thinks with a level head. So I don't know. I don't think people should be demonized for having gonorrhea or stigmatized and shit like that. I think that's wrong as well. But to just come out and be proud of it, you're messed up. Let's keep going. The self-described childcare expert has hosted a laundry list of classes, including an online and international sexuality, sex, and orgasms workshop led by Robertson, a featured presenter that took place in early February. I'm going to preface this. We don't know the age group of these kids, of these people that she did that class to. So it could have been perfectly normal adults. Let's keep going. Enjoy 20 plus video classes full of amazing, juicy, and realistic pleasure techniques that absolutely anyone can use to become a confident, amazing lover. The virtual learning events website tells participants who had signed up for the February 4th through 6th weekend to learn how to achieve mind-blowing orgasms and awesome sex. Again, don't know the age group of who that was marketed to, so I'm not going to jump to conclusion here. I don't want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but I kind of have to, just being an honest broker here. I think she's a fucked up person, a pedophile, and a groomer, and should go to jail. But if she was marketing this to adults, sex classes are marketed to adults all the time. So that's not something wrong to do. That she's making money off of what she believes is her expertise. And if people pay her for it, then they obviously believe in it as well. Let's keep going. Back in June, she was a special guest on a Facebook Live discussion hosted by Facebook group Let's Talk Polyamory, where they outlined how to talk relationship, diversity, sex, kink, and awkward stuff with kids and youth. Here we go. This is where it gets wrong. Robertson's sexual education students can be as young as potty training age. Later in August, she made a guest appearance on Multiamory, a member of Pleasure Podcast, for an episode of Kids, Consent, and Sex Education. During the conversation, Robertson, who identifies as a feminine, bi-curious, ethically polyamorous, sexual submissive, instructed, listen, hold on, let's go that again. A feminine, bi-curious, ethically polyamorous, sexual submissive. Anyone that goes by that should just be sent to go and get their mental disorder checked out. They are fractions of people. They don't know who they are. This individual has no idea who the fuck they are. They're not confident in who they are. It fluctuates. It changes. And they'll tell you, oh, it's because they're a free spirit, because they're artsy, because they're this. No, they just don't know anything about themselves. I would love to delve into Ashley Robertson's past and see if she's had some serious trauma. Because a lot of times serious trauma is associated with having gender dysphoria. And she obviously has a strong case of gender dysphoria. Now you couple that with somebody who's a good snake oil salesman and a charlatan. And here she goes making money off of people that she's trying to get to have gender dysphoria to join her. Oh my God. So let's go again. During the conversation, Robertson, who identifies as a feminine, bi-curious, ethically polyamorous, sexual submissive, instructed listeners how to talk to your kids about non-monogamy. The August 2021 episode's description says, with over a decade of experience in the BDSM scene, she isn't shy of perverse topics. Robertson holds 3 teaching degrees and focuses on increasing sex positivity within the family culture. The detailed Spotify profile on Robertson explains. So this person holds 3 teaching degrees. She understands how to break things down and make them easy to learn for kids. So as she's trying to groom them, as she's trying to turn them into activists for this culture, she understands how to do it. It's scary. She understands the pedagogy. She really gets it. She knows how to put it into praxis. These are all things that are postmodernist. They're woke. They're Marxist techniques to train activists. Let's keep going. At the time, Robertson has been teaching the Our Whole Lives curriculum for the past 5 years and has opened up an in-home daycare, she said in the episode. On the hour-long podcast, Robertson discussed greater access to pornography for viewers under the age of 18, citing a workshop in the high school curriculum stating that pornographic images and videos are for adult viewership only. Oh my God. It's crazy. Here's the thing. Most guys have watched porn under the age of 18. Most guys watch porn currently. Is it the greatest thing in the world? No. Here's the thing. Guys like boobs. Guys love sex. Women love it too, but guys are more out in the open with it. And we seek it more actively, I feel. I don't know the stats on this. I don't know. I think it's probably your feminists will say that's shifting because the stigma's gone. But, women worry about other shit than guys. That's just factual. And if discussing greater access for pornography of viewers under the age of 18, what is there greater access? There's free porn sites everywhere. They're not hard to access. So it's such a stupid thing. You want to make this something for in high school that kids can access porn? That's not the purpose of them being there. They're there to learn. They're there to learn how to be good citizens, how to learn the basics. They're not there to learn, about pornography. They're not there to discover that part. And the issue for me is when you start to bring this stuff all into the schools, it does take away from the parenting aspect. This is a parent topic. That's the biggest problem with this. The sexual stuff, yeah, you kids can learn sex ed and stuff because they learn about, I guess schools decided to intervene that way. But I still even think sex ed, that should be a parent topic in the end. I wouldn't be opposed to removing sex ed from high schools in general or in any schools. That's something for the parents to learn about, parents to teach the kids about. Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned there. Let's keep going. It's a little lean, from my opinion, said Robertson, according to the Multi-Amory episode transcript released in August 31st, 2021. I say that that's lean because I think that is the law, but the reality is that youth have access to a lot of things. Robertson and the podcast host then acknowledged they'd definitely and absolutely watched porn before they'd reached the legal age. So did I. A lot of people have. I would prefer that content to talk more about the sources for ethical porn and to talk about more about collaborative problem solving with your youth and your kid, Robertson said. She advised that instead of clamping down on inappropriate online activity, parents should acknowledge there's a need that's not met that children are trying to fulfill by clicking on forbidden sites they're not allowed to be on. Again, ethical porn. What is ethical porn? What the fuck is ethical porn? Oh my God. And the need that the kid has. I mean, if they're puberty age kids, yeah, they're figuring out their needs. And those are the type of kids you do want to have these conversations with. But you don't fulfill it by putting porn in their face and giving them a fleshlight and saying, here, have fun. Like, there's a different way of doing it. Let's keep going. Robertson urged for a more relaxed and collaborative parenting style in which parents tell their children, it's my job as your parent to acknowledge those needs and meet your needs. So how can we do this and figure this out together? Now, that sounds fucking disgusting. It's my job to meet those needs. If this kid's needs sexual, you're not going to meet his sexual needs or her sexual needs as their parent. That is not your job. That is not your job. That is disgusting. That sounds like incest. Let's keep going here. We still got a little bit more to go, but this torture is almost done. I promise. Where was I? Now I lost my place. I scrolled and I lost my place. Meet the needs. More relaxed and meet those needs. Okay. In those situations, even for elementary school kids, there are resources for age-appropriate images that kids can see, Robertson insisted. She said, as an example, in the Our Whole Lives elementary curriculum, each child is supposed to have a doodle journal for drawing penises and boobs, vulvas, and butts. One of the podcast hosts replied, fun. Yes, Robertson answered, noting it's a place where it's a safe and acceptable for children to explore. Robertson pivoted to state that the curious high schoolers should have accessible resources for fulfilling that need, especially erotica. So she's advocating, number one, for elementary school kids that how does an elementary school kid know about big boobs, know about big butts, understand what a vulva is, know what their dick does? They don't. They're showing it to each other because they have things different from each other. The boys have penises, girls have vaginas. I'll show you yours. You'll show me mine. That's innocent. It's not sexual. Why the sexualization of kids is wrong. It's taking away their innocence, which the people on the left will argue that children innocence is a construct made by the traditionalists, and it is not correct. So this is the two camps we're fighting with here. They don't believe in childhood innocence. So they're trying to break it because they believe that the conservative framework is wrong and that childhood innocence is fake. Herbert Marcuse, he's talked about this in his writings about childhood innocence being a tool of the right and that it doesn't exist. So when she talks about appropriate images for kids to see, no, there isn't. And, safe and acceptable erotica for kids in high school. What? During high school, they should be able to go and watch porn and beat off in the middle of the library? Or a girl should be able to go and use a freaking toy to get, no. Think about what she's advocating for. At another point during the discussion, Robertson said that if a child is curious about kink, be excited because they're curious about themselves. That's the first thing to celebrate with them, Robertson said, adding that it's the best to find out what the child already knows first about the explicit subject. Robertson comments, sensual play for a teenager interested in trying some things as the first thing that you want to tell your kid to try out. So she's encouraging you to tell your kid to be promiscuous. That's what she's encouraging. Because she's pumped about having gonorrhea. She wants to raise your kid's chance at getting gonorrhea. Sensual play, touching, doing all that type of stuff, getting each other naked. Again, things that kids at the high school puberty age are doing on their own already, but that is up for them to do on their own, to explore on their own. As a parent, you shouldn't be encouraging them to do it. It's okay to acknowledge that they may be doing it, and to encourage them to do it safely and smartly, but you shouldn't be encouraging your kids to be promiscuous. Let's keep going. You can phrase it as if it's kinky, but really it's just the stuff of sex. It's like, do sensual play and see what your partner likes and see what you like, she said. Robertson said that if it's billed as kinky, then maybe it includes a hairbrush or ice cubes, adding, oh, that's so kinky, but it's still safe and it's sensual play. Our goal is not to jump into ball gags and restraints and anal beads. Our goal is to be like, let's just explore what feels good to you and the other person. Sensual play, I think, is the best way to steer your teenage, curious kinkster first, she said. So here we go. She goes and using a hairbrush, ice cubes. Again, these are things that kids may explore anyway. But as a parent, you should not be encouraging this type of stuff. And if they become an adult and they want to use ball gags, restraints, anal beads, things like that, all for them, do it your thing. But these are things that you need to discover on your own as an adult. These are not things that you should start using as a child. Because believe it or not, under 18, you are a child legally. And there's a reason for that. They're fucking stupid. Those kids are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. They still don't know who they are. They don't figure that out until probably after college or maybe towards the end of college. And even college kids are morons. So it's like you're asking kids who don't know anything about life to all of a sudden understand sex or start to really explore it when they don't know anything else at all. Here's the last few paragraphs here. Let's get through this. A parent reached out to Robertson following the podcast interview. They expressed that they're polyamorous and have been preparing to start talking about sex and our lifestyle with their 3 children under 12 years old. The parent, thanking Robertson for her parenting advice, revealed that their oldest son went through their phone and found conversations as well as photos he wasn't supposed to see. I am thankful for this kind of feedback, Robertson wrote on Facebook, sharing a screenshot of the parent's message full of praise. Robertson then pounced on the opportunity to promote her availability for private calls and peer coaching. The Post Millennials reached out to Robertson for a comment. Obviously, she hasn't brought it back. So the overall thing here, and I want to close it out because I went long. This has been a long episode. The overall thing here is, parents, please watch out for people like this. If you, like I said, there's people in this group from elementary schools, from PBS. It's fucking disgusting, people. These are groomers. These are pedophiles. These are people trying to steal your child's innocence, trying to teach them about things they have no business learning at a young age. And no, this isn't me being a square. I acknowledge that kids in high school, maybe in middle school, are having sex or doing sexual things. There is a time where you need to start perking up your ears to that as a parent, but it's not something where you should start going to encourage, be like, oh, well, you know what? You're starting to grow some boobs, or, you know, you're starting to figure out what your penis is for. Just go use it. Just go start using it. Have fun. Go do you. Go try and bang everything. Go explore. No. You shouldn't be raising a sexual deviant. You should be raising somebody who respects themselves a little bit, at least. Because you know what? Bottom line is, if they're going to be a sexual deviant, they're going to get to that point anyway, probably. So I don't know. I just think that this, a person like Ashley Robertson is disgusting. She needs to be jailed. Anybody that includes in this and encourages this also should be in jail, because it is absolutely child abuse. It is absolutely grooming. It is absolutely pedophilia, and it's completely and totally wrong. So parents, watch out for people like this. Look for any of these signs, social emotional learning, all these types of signs, all these big key buzzwords, the body positivity shit, all these types of things, they're not what they sound like. They're not positives. They're meant to make your kids depressed and abuse them mentally and turn them into activists. Be very aware of this stuff. Please protect your kids, raise them, let them take some chances because they have to. Because, that's part of growing up. That's part of life. But protect them from people like this who are trying to influence them and groom them and eventually turn them into fucked up people. Don't let them do that. All right. So thank you, everyone, for listening to this long episode. I told you it would be long. I apologize. Like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. The Alex Questa Show on all the social medias. I will talk to everybody tomorrow. So long, y'all.